The disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, America's most famous missing person. James Riddle Hoffa was born in 1913 in Indiana and grew up in working-class poverty. He began organizing workers in his teens and rose through the Teamsters Union by a combination of ferocity, tactical intelligence, and a willingness to work with anyone who could help him accumulate power, including organized crime. By the 1960s, he was president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, which represented nearly 2 million workers, making him one of the most powerful labor leaders in American history. He was also one of the most investigated. Robert Kennedy made Hoffa a personal obsession, pursuing him for years until Hoffa was finally convicted of jury tampering and fraud in 1964. Hoffa served 57 months of a 13-year sentence before President Nixon commuted his sentence in 1971, with the condition that Hoffa not engage in union activities until 1980. Hoffa believed the restriction was illegal and was actively working to have it removed. He was also attempting to reclaim control of the Teamsters from the acting President Frank Fitzsimmons, who had established his own relationships with organized crime figures during Hoffa's imprisonment and was not eager to return power. By July 1975, Hoffa was planning his political comeback and had enemies in both the organized crime world and the union leadership. On July 30, 1975, Hoffa left his home in Lake Orion, Michigan, and drove to the Match's Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township. He was there for a meeting with two men, Anthony Giacalone, a Detroit mob boss, and Anthony Provenzano, a New Jersey mob figure. Both men later claimed they had no meeting scheduled with Hoffa and were elsewhere that day. Hoffa was last seen at the restaurant parking lot at approximately 2:45 p.m. He called his wife from a payphone at 2:30 p.m. to say the men were late. He was never seen again. The FBI's investigation into Hoffa's disappearance has been one of the longest in the Bureau's history. Investigators quickly suspected Anthony Provenzano and a Detroit mob figure named Anthony Giacalone. Both denied meeting Hoffa that day. The FBI also investigated a Teamsters official named Chucky O'Brien, who drove a car on July 30th that trained cadaver dogs later indicated had carried a human body. O'Brien has consistently denied involvement. The investigation has never resulted in charges. Key witnesses have since died. Organized crime figures who knew details of the case have spoken to various investigators and journalists over the years, without providing legally actionable information. The dominant theory among organized crime researchers is that Hoffa was killed by mob figures who feared his return to Teamsters leadership would disrupt the arrangement they had established with Fitzsimmons, one that gave them more favorable access to the union's pension fund. The killing was allegedly ordered by mob leaders in New York and executed by figures in Detroit and New Jersey. The location of Hoffa's remains has been the subject of over a dozen significant searches. He has been reported buried under the end zone of Giants Stadium in New Jersey, in a field in New Jersey, under a driveway in Michigan, in a drum of chemicals in Florida, in a Detroit landfill, in a Jersey City parking lot, and many other locations. None of these searches has found human remains connected to Hoffa. Each new claim generates media attention and FBI interest, but all have been either inconclusive or definitively negative. His body has never been found. In 2023, investigators conducted a search of a driveway in Roseville, New Jersey, based on a tip from an 85-year-old mob informant who said he had been present when Hoffa was buried there. The FBI excavated the site. No remains were found. The informant's story was considered plausible enough to warrant the search. FBI officials noted that they take all credible leads seriously. The negative result was not a surprise. Many previous searches have found nothing. But the continued interest, nearly 50 years after the disappearance, indicates the FBI still believes the case can be solved. Jimmy Hoffa disappeared on July 30th, 1975. He has never been declared legally dead. His wife had him declared dead in absentia in 1982, which is not the same as a legal finding. The FBI's investigation remains officially open. No one has been charged in connection with his disappearance. The men who arranged it are almost certainly dead. The men who executed it may be dead. The body may never be found. He was one of the most powerful men in America, protected and feared by both labor and criminal organizations, and he was made to vanish as completely as if he had never existed. That is not a mystery. That is a demonstration of what organized power can make disappear.